Blog Talk Radio.
Tax is not secure. Also, if you do have someone prepare your return, you really have to remember that a lot of them are using foreign preparers, cheap labor in India, and they're scanning your documents and sending it over there over the web online. It's terrible. So really ask your accountant if your documents ever leave electronically or physically his or her office, because a lot of medium and large firms are doing that. They outsource, and they're not telling their clients that they're doing that. So the answer is come and have a meeting with me, have a free consultation with me, bring me your prior year's returns, and let's talk about what I do, how I do it. Yes, I'm much different than other preparers on the corner, and hopefully we can create a relationship, a long-term relationship for me and your family, and you'll want to bring me into your family as a partner to go forward to handle this, plus larger financial issues that you're going to need advice on going forward. You can do your own taxes via TurboTax right now, but what if you have a significant question 2 weeks from now? People are going to the Internet. You know, it's like going to WebMD when you have a stomach ache. So you need to, in today's financial and tax environment, you need a seasoned professional to reach out to via email, text, or call, who will take your call and help you out during the year if you need to. And that's one of the most significant benefits that you have when you hire someone like me.
Chris, I'm here laughing, and I was clapping. I don't know if you heard the sound effects because you hit on so many key points. Because I want to take a step back and say, okay, there are the tax preparers that are outsourcing that work overseas. Mm-hmm. And at the start of this conversation, I started talking about The World is Flat by Thomas Friedman because he talked about, in the book, it's all about how the technology is changing and evolving and how it's part of everything and how, over the last 10 years or so, we've dealt with outsourcing. We've dealt with, you're dealing with one person or a specific company, but the actual company that work is being subletted to, you're like, who is this company?
Right.
So it's so important. And the whole data breach and tax, the personally identifiable information that's out there. When you say the terms like PII, people don't know what that means, but, they really don't know until their identity is stolen. And like you said, they go to file, and it's like, okay, it's already been filed.
Right.
So
I had 20 of them this week. I had 20 people since last Thursday that have come to me because they were on with an online service. Their data was breached, and returns were filed with their socials and their kids' socials, and now they can't file because they're already e-filed technically. We have to go through a very expensive, long process to get them PIN numbers and to get them filed, and it's going to probably take a year or 18 months to get their refunds now. So this is very serious, and it's not just about doing the tax return by yourself. It's about having safeguards. And another thing about preparers, my office is highly technical. We keep no paper. Everything is scanned and digitized on an encrypted, secure server, so you get all your paper back. And I want to mention that if people do mail me things from around the world, and that can be okay, FedEx, I do get that every day. I have video conference calls with clients all day about things, so face-to-face meetings are happening over the Internet, so that's very effective. You want to ask your preparer, if you have one, what kind of safeguards do you have in your office? Do you have my paper? Do you have an alarm system? Do you have a sprinkler system that could ruin my documents? Do you have file-proof file cabinets? Do you have a digital disaster recovery system that Chris Whalen has to make sure that if I need documents back from you, I can get them?
Chris, I at the start of this show, I said we won't be getting tech, but you're getting tech because now we're talking about disaster recovery.
Of course.
And I love this. I want to, before we jump into Obamacare, I want to say a couple of things about that. Here are some things the IRS says to keep in mind to avoid being a victim of tax scams. It says the IRS will not initiate contact with you via phone or email or ask for your personal or financial information. The government loves the paper trail. The IRS will write you first.
Right. Exactly.
What are some of your thoughts on that?
Right. I think you're reading from one of my memos, and that's great. Right. There's a lot of scams going on, and if people really pay attention, because I get calls about this every day, the IRS does not have the ability to email anybody. They would never email anyone. So if you get any email that looks irs.gov, that doesn't exist. So make sure you put it to spam, report it as phishing, PHISH, phishing.
Right.
Also, phone calls. People are getting these calls that, you owe money. And if you ever get a call from someone that says they're from the IRS, that you owe them money, tell them to call me. That's what I want you to do. Tell them to call me, that I represent you. I want to talk to them for you. So that's a scam phone call. Don't be scared. People are running to Walmart, getting debit cards. Just if any of these things happen, this is why it's good to have someone like me, for example. I want everyone, they should take my phone number down. It's right on my website, chriswhalencpa.com. If you have any question of any kind, if you're nervous about something, worried, you get something in the mail, you get a phone call me immediately. That's why I'm here, to make sure you know what's happening and should you be worried, should you react. So, yes, there's fake emails. The IRS would never email you. The IRS would never call you directly. Before the IRS ever called you directly, there's so much paper that goes on for a year or two, you would have hired me already to talk to them for you. Okay, so that will never happen. Never gets there. Right. There's a few other things. I want a few tips, especially for business owners. I'd like to, if I can add in one or two things right now, Ted. It's a good time.
Sure.
All right. So the IRS is very busy, not only this time of year, but when you need to call the IRS, you call at 2:00 in the afternoon, okay, and they say there's a 3-hour wait. So what you want to do, people don't realize that a lot of the IRS service centers, and if you reach out to me, I could send you a nice master list of direct numbers to direct departments to stop you from having to hit menus 1 through 7 for 15 minutes to get there. And some of these places open 7 a.m. Eastern time. So if I can show you what numbers to call, what time they open, sometimes you only have to wait 5 minutes. So these are some of the things I can help with. People get frustrated, then things go on for weeks and months, and then they're late, but they've tried. So reaching out to me, I can help you get in touch with them faster, okay?
Oh, yeah, I got you. So
okay.
We're going to...
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
One last thing I want to talk about is the home office expense for small businesses. Very important. There's a home office deduction. There's been a lot of myth out there that that's a target for an IRS audit, and that is not true. There was a time where they targeted just for a sample many years ago, but there is a safe harbor home office where you don't have to put down all of the information. It gives you a basic amount per square foot that's very easy and quick to do, and I don't think some of the online services like TurboTax are doing it correctly. So I also have a nice memo on that. So if you've been avoiding taking the home office or don't know what it's about, if you do have an exclusive area in your home that you're using for your business, don't miss out on this. It's a legitimate expense, and I could easily show you how to do it. I have memos on it I could send you anytime to show you how to do it.
Understood.
Okay.
I want to jump into Obamacare.
Okay.
I want to jump into it. Okay, we can go from the perspective of I have a business and, or I can go into, I didn't have insurance. I previously didn't have insurance for my small business, but now, through Obamacare, we were able to get, the insurance, and from a business perspective or from just, someone single that's filing.
Sure. And I wanted to go over some basics if I could. Just some of the basics, if that okay. So, of course, starting in 2014, everyone except if you have an exemption, which I'll go over those, are supposed to have health coverage. Now, that could be through your employer as traditionally done or through the exchange or the marketplace. So, but one of the major things that's happened is you're going to start to get an extra form at the end of the year from whoever you have insurance that talks about the coverage you have. So that's very important to look for these forms. Now, last year, 2014, they wanted to have all three of these. They wanted to have all of the forms ready. There was going to be a form for the exchange, a 1095A. Then there was going to be a form if you had an employer-provided plan, another 1095, and also if you had a traditional health insurance plan. So I want everyone to look for those, especially people who were on the exchange from 2014. They should have had this already because there's a lot of very important information on there. It's sort of a complex form that you're going to need to put on your tax return to see if you get a subsidy or if you were paid too much in a premium tax credit. So that's important. So now, but in 2015, everyone that has insurance will be getting one of these three forms. And it's very important to make sure that the correct information is on them. That's at the end of this year, even people that work for someone. Now, the exemptions are, I want to just go over the exemptions. So who's exempt? Who does not have to have insurance? Who doesn't pay a penalty, in essence? Okay, if I can go over that for a minute. And this is very important because you might fall into one of these categories and then you might not have to pay a penalty. So, for example, if you were homeless, if you were evicted in the past 6 months, or if you're facing eviction or foreclosure, a lot of people have had mortgage trouble. And if they're in the foreclosure process, which sometimes people are lasting many years now, that's an exemption. If you received a shut-off notice from a utility company, if you recently experienced domestic violence, if you had a death of a close family member, you had a natural disaster, fire or flood, you filed for bankruptcy in the last 6 months. A few of them go on. So if you reach out to me, I have this in a memo right on my website, chriswhalencpa.com, in the memos area. You'll see it right there up front for you. It gives a nice, clear list of what the exemptions are. See if you fall into one of them. It only takes a few minutes, and it's well worth it. Now, one of the things that Obamacare wants to do is that it wants to take away the benefit of having a group plan. So if you had a small business with your husband and wife and a worker, you could have a nice group medical plan and get a reduced rate. So then if you were an individual, it was much more expensive. So Obamacare, of course, is hurting business again. It's taking away all that benefit. That's why things are more expensive. The deductibles are astronomical. It's terrible. So it really hurts small business very much. It's a terrible thing. So now, no matter where you get insurance, the coverage should be the same cost, technically. That's the logic of what they were trying to do. So the important forms now, if you do have Obamacare, there's a form in 8962. It's a brand new form. And what that is used for, you're going to take that 1095 information I spoke of a few moments ago, and that's going to be placed in this form, and it's going to calculate what your premium tax credit should be. So sometimes people get a subsidy ahead of time. That's going to be on this form you get, and you need to put it down, and they're going to calculate based on your income and a lot of other things. Should you have gotten that subsidy, and are you owed more subsidy, or do you owe a rebate? It's a very complex form. I urge people, yes, I know it sounds self-serving, to have a professional do this. It's very easy to make a mistake, or take your time, email me with questions. So that's an 8962 form. That's a brand new form to get familiar with. Then the next form that's close to that is the 8965 form. The 8965 form is the form, if you don't have an exemption and don't have insurance, that you're going to need to calculate your penalty. Yes, you have to pay a penalty that's going to go directly on your return. Now, this is very interesting that I want everyone to realize what the government has done. The government is now using the IRS, which is the most feared organization in the world, worse than the mafia, to collect this and enforce Obamacare. That's what's happening here. So can I go on for another minute, Ted? Is that okay?
Chris, we're fine. Go.
Okay, great. So just so you know, these penalties start small in 2014 and then they increase. So just to give you an idea, the maximum penalty in 2014 is $285. The maximum penalty in 2015 is $975. 2016, it's $2,085. So next year, at the end of next year, people could be looking at $2,085 of penalty for not having health insurance. Hopefully